happy to hear you are supportive of thermal energy networks. I didn't know. That's great. Let's keep building them. My name is Kim Fraczek. I am the director of Sane Energy Project. We represent 18,500 plus New Yorkers who have spent the last 15 years working to halt fossil fuels and build a transition to an economy that is affordable, sustainable, and a renewable energy system. We've participated in dozens of proceedings at the Public Service Commission, including rate cases, generic proceedings on energy efficiency, affordability, thermal energy networks, gas explosion investigations, and long-term planning from 2019 until today. I'm here to raise serious concerns about the Public Service Commission's oversight of New York's utilities, using National Grid's long-term gas plan as an example today. It's docket 24G0248. The PSC is supposed to be our utility watchdog, ensuring safe and reliable service, safe and reasonable rates while advancing the state's clean energy goals under the CLCPA. Yet on September 18th, 2025, just a few weeks ago, the Public Service Commission fast-tracked the approval of National Grid's plan just 8 days after the close of public comments. Over 10,000 New Yorkers submitted input, yet only 3,700 were acknowledged in the docket. Expert testimony and reports, including those from the Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis, were ignored. The decision was rushed, politically influenced, detached from evidence. It appears to bend to corporate and federal political pressure rather than protect the public, as the federal administration is pushing for a pipeline through the New York Harbor right now that we've already denied 3 times. The PSC must be strong enough to give the governor the support to stand up to these pressures, rather than cower to a UK-based utility corporation called National Grid, whose primary goal is profit. Sane Energy took extraordinary steps to engage with this process. We hosted a technical conference for the commission, its staff, and the utility to discuss thermal energy networks and how they're being implemented elsewhere, successfully in Massachusetts and elsewhere. We also raised funds to hire a gas systems operator who has 35 years of experience to help dissect National Grid's requests and assist us in drafting testimony. Meanwhile, New Yorkers collectively paid $1.2 million to the Department of Public Service independent consultant, PA Consulting, to evaluate the plan, and that too was ignored. The NESE pipeline, the project by Williams, would extend directly from Pennsylvania, start 5 minutes from my childhood bus stop, into the Rockaway Peninsula in Queens, contaminating the water for waterfront communities in Staten Island and Brooklyn, frontline communities that rely heavily on a strong blue economy of coastal tourism and recreation, which generates significant GDP and jobs. The PSC justifies the project by citing Winter Storm Elliott in 2022, but Sane Energy has shown in multiple detailed comments that the storm's gas supply failures were mechanical, not demand-driven. Equipment in the Marcellus and Utica shale froze, cutting production by over 6 billion cubic feet per day. Adding another pipeline will not fix that systemic vulnerability. Extreme weather will inevitably create competition for gas across states, driving up prices rather than improving reliability. National Grid's plan, also seeks to convert more homes from oil to gas, expanding the dependency on fossil fuels, locking in emissions, undermining the CLCPA. The PSC minimized costs that did not evaluate potential escalation, leaving ratepayers exposed to billions in unnecessary expenses. Pipelines are a permanent form of infrastructure, and once built, they're extremely difficult to reverse, particularly if we're going to be trenching 23 miles of our New York harbor with lots of toxins in there. But this isn't just about the Williams-NESE pipeline. It reflects broader structural failures of political considerations, overshadowing evidence and limiting public participation and transparency. Ratepayers can't trust that PSC decisions are based on technical merit, cost effectiveness, or alignment with New York's energy goals and equity objectives. They've repeatedly allowed National Grid to play hot potato. Is that a can I finish up a little bit? Okay. They're allowing National Grid to play hot potato with proceedings, shifting decisions between 2019, 2023, and the long-term gas plan case, effectively preventing stakeholders from getting answers or holding the utilities accountable. I just find that there was one dissenting commissioner, Maggiore, and he gave some very, very good examples. It's in my testimony. I also want to, just make a mention that National Grid really helped to front load a whole bunch of business interests. But when we looked at the metadata, according to a New York Focus report, all the metadata for every application that went to the commission led back to National Grid's lobbying firm, which is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. So it's kind of like us as people representing our communities are really, really struggling, having to, it's like a David and Goliath, and we're really trying hard to help us transition to an affordable and renewable economy, so we can, eliminate sicknesses, eliminate emissions, and keep our bills low. And I think thermal energy networks are one of the ways to do this. And we really should not be allowing a gas-only utility in the state of New York, because they are not incentivized to transition. They'll want to continue to keep building more gas pipelines. Pardon?
What do you think would be an incentive for National Grid?
Well, we've been working really hard to try to get them to move onto thermal energy networks. Now we know that there are pilot programs going on right now, but we also know that National Grid's first application for the pilot, they sort of flubbed their application, and we really want to make sure that we see a genuine focus on, like, we want to comply with our law. We want to do right by the people of New York, and we really need our Public Service Commission to see themselves as the public servants. And yes, to opening an office for advocacy, but the commissioners themselves and the staff themselves should also be doing that job. And I think just making us take our jobs more seriously is really important if we want to meet a law that is in law and passed. And we can't, as the chair mentioned earlier, we can't keep just blaming Donald Trump for all of this. We actually have to take a stand and do something and be really strong here in New York. And there are very good examples of things that we can do to make our Public Service Commission something that we feel really proud to work with.
Okay. What was the most critical one of the things that you think that we could do to make our Public Service Commission something we could be proud of?
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that they allowed National Grid to not do the analysis that the independent consultant had recommended that they do, that many of the advocacy organizations and even the city of New York had an excellent testimony of comment in the long-term plan case. We do have the tools to make National Grid be a better company here, but they're so incentivized to price gouge all of us all the time. And I'm frankly very, very concerned about how the Public Service Commission just swept this through and is trying to blame it on Donald Trump. It just blows me away.
Do you all, anyone on the panel, the energy dependence and as Senator Matera is saying, we need to look into new technologies. Which new technologies do you think can be most effective? And is the entire panel looking at moving away from gas altogether, or is there still a possibility for natural gas to be relevant?
So I will say that I think thermal energy networks are the most exciting new technology.